I had a call from a former journalist this morning who wondered.
A what journalist?
A former journalist.
Oh, former.
One of ours?
No, it was a name I didn't recognize. Who teaches classes or something, and wondered what the discussion was about naming the 16-year-old in the I-90 crash story. And I had to tell her there really was no discussion about that, and that maybe we should have at least talked about it. I said I'm fine with naming him, but perhaps we should have talked about it.
I think under our policy, which is now in the new ethics code, is stated a little bit more clearly. It's not a lengthy discussion at all. He's charged with major felonies. He's 16. We name him. We don't name the 12 and 13-year-old. I assume
we didn't have the names.
We don't have the names.
Yeah.
And I think that becomes a discussion.
Yeah, just because of the ages.
Because of the ages.
Yeah.
But a 16-year-old who's involved in major felonies, our policy, if I'm not mistaken, Carla, in the new draft, doesn't that specifically address that? And it's been our informal policy forever. So, yeah, I wouldn't have expected a discussion about that. That may be worth putting on the blog.
Well, Amy did bring that up yesterday to me, since I was sitting across from her. She said, we have the name of 16-year-old. Do we report that? And I said, yeah, I'm sure we do. But this is a serious enough crime.
Yeah, I think the dividing line's pretty clear that anytime it's a felony, the question really ought to be, why wouldn't we name him?
This guy put lives in danger. He could have. That motorcyclist is so lucky to be alive.
Everyone is lucky. I mean, that could have been really far worse than it was.
Very public event that impacted a lot of people.
Now, weren't you all struck though that because we're not Los Angeles, it wasn't live on television? That's made for TV in most big city markets with the helicopters hovering.
I was trying to track down if that kid's in that photo, which I think is the 16-year-old, based on the other photos. I was trying to identify that kid so we could have identified him in the caption, but I couldn't get anybody to say,
Couldn't confirm it.
yeah, that was the kid that, that we put into that car. So when I talked to the Highway Patrol.
What's the photo credit on that? Photo?
Oh, it's Holly.
Holly?
And I wasted my time calling the Sheriff's Department, but I did it just because I felt.
Was Holly, were they unwilling to give her that information at the scene?
I don't know that. I don't think so. I think that, I'm guessing that at the scene it was confusing enough that she didn't probably know that would be valuable information later to know which one of those kids was driving.
Well, and she was saying that when she first got there, there was difficulty getting here because they were trying to keep them away because the kids were still out there. So.
Well, maybe that should have been a discussion. Do we use the photo if we can't identify that kid as the 16-year-old? Because what if it isn't?
Well,
we haven't named the other two, but we've certainly identified that person in some aspect by publishing the face. So.
Well, let's just ask the question right out. Do we name the 12 and the 13-year-old if we get the names today?
Well, isn't the 13-year-old the one who stole the car in the first
from
place?
his mother.
Yeah, see, I would, in my opinion, we should. He's just as guilty as the 16-year-old, probably more. He seems to have been the instigator.
Now, under the law, if I'm not mistaken, the 16-year-old can be charged as an adult, correct? But the 12 and 13 cannot.
Probably true.
Yeah, they would go through the juvenile process no matter what, and the 16-year-old could go either way depending on what the judge decides. Does that make a difference to us?
Well, we have, in my experience here, we very rarely have identified kids who were being charged as juveniles. I can't remember many instances where we've even considered that.
Yeah, for far worse.
Yeah.
I think that we got to keep in mind too, the stakes are different now because this will be online forever.
Yeah.
If we name him, then that's going to follow him around the rest of his life.
On the other hand, the judge could still decide to remand the 16-year-old to juvenile court, and we've already named him. And that's the initial judgment call.
Well, and I mean the 13-year-old stole a car from his mother. I'm not sure that rises to the same level as then a 16-year-old who presumably knows how to drive, getting on the freeway in the wrong direction and
eluding police
and continuing to drive.